Alright, so here we are on chapter 3.5. 3.5 is going to give us a tool to be able to write a line, to be able to create a line using one of a couple different situations. Either using the point-slope formula from a point and a slope, or create a line when we're given 2 points, or create a line that's parallel to another line or perpendicular to another line, and then we'll kind of do a summary as well. So essentially what we're going to try and do is create a line. We're going to create a line given some information. So if I give you some information like a point and a slope, we should be able to use a point-slope formula to create that line. It'll be important to create that line because we always need to know kind of what the general description is of the line, of all those points that are on that line that have that criteria. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So here's our first situation. If we're given a point on the line and the slope of the line, we should be able to use the point-slope formula. So we're given a point and we're given the slope. We should be able to use the point-slope formula. So this is again something that we will need to, I would say, memorize. So here's our point-slope formula given to us. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Again, m is the slope, x1, y1 is the point. So if we're given a point, x1, y1, and we're given m as the slope, then we should be able to fill in m in here and x1, y1 right here, and say we can then create a name for the line. So keep in mind, here's the information that will be given. A point, x1, y1, and the slope. So let's try and play around with some of that information. So if we're given a point on the line, here's a point on the line, here's the slope of the line. All right, well, you know what? Let's fill in some information about this. The point on the line, well, that's x1, y1. It's usually xy, but we're going to call it x1, y1, just fill it into the form. The slope of the line, what is that? Well, slope again is m, slope m. All right, well, so there's the information that we're given. So what we need to do is put those numbers into the formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Again, that's something you got to memorize. Memorize that formula. First of all, spell it right. Memorize. Memorize that formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And all we do is we plug in some numbers. We got x1 is -2, we put it right there. We got y1 is -4, we put it right there. And we've got slope is 3, we put it right there. And then all we do is just simplify that equation, which we can do. Keep in mind, and this will be important, that if we've got negative numbers up here, we'll have to make sure that we subtract y minus y1 is y minus the value for y1 is -4. So that becomes y minus a -4 is y plus 4 equals 3 times, I would not distribute that 3 yet because we've still got the x minus a -2 in there. We've got to pay attention to that. So minus a -2, again the value for x1 is -2. We plug in x1 is -2. So we've got to remember that we're subtracting that value. So x minus a -2 is x plus +2, and there we go. We're halfway there. And all we do now is simplify. Y plus 4 equals, we distribute that 3 to everything in there. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times +2, positive 3 times +2 is positive times positive is positive. 3 times 2, 6. We're almost there, and all we have to do is subtract 4. We could subtract 6, but it wouldn't get us too far. Let's subtract 4 over here as well, and we get y equals 3x plus x minus 4 plus 2. And there is the formula for a line. In slope-intercept form, that's my favorite form because it gives us so much information. If we're given a slope or a formula like this, we'll convert it into, we'll just follow a couple simple algebraic steps into something like this. Y equals 3x plus 2, and that describes all the points that are on the line going through -2, -4 with a slope of 3. All right, let's try this one. Try this one over here. I got a point -1, 5, and slope is -4. All right, well, you know what? I've got a point and a slope. I'm going to use the point-slope formula. So I'm going to write it down. What's my point-slope formula? my recommendation, always just start with y minus y1. Your formula equals m times x minus x1. And now you know what the point slope formula is right there in blue. And you know what? Let's just go and fill in some information. What information do we know? I've got a point, negative 1, 5, so that's my x1, y1. And I've also got a slope, negative 4. M is negative 4. All right, well, let's just plug in some numbers then. All right, so I'm going to go jumping back and forth here between stuff. Y minus y1. What's y1? y1 is negative 5 right here. Or sorry, positive 5. y1 is positive 5, so we just plug in 5 right there. Go back to our blue, and we say equals. What's our slope? Slope m is negative 4, so now we say negative 4 times, in blue, x minus, and then x1. x1 is negative 1. So we plug in negative 1 right there. Put it in parentheses because we're subtracting the value for negative 1. And then we just close the parentheses, and now we just solve. So now there's the information that we've been given. We started with, we were given a point and a slope. We've got to remember, oh yeah, point and a slope, I'm going to use the point slope formula. So then we kind of label our points here. x1 is negative 1, y1 is 5, slope m is negative 4, and now all we do is just plug in m, negative 4, we plug in the value for x1, negative 1, we plug in the value for y1, 5, and now we've got this here, and from here, all we do is follow simple algebra to get a formula. So I got y minus 5 equals negative 4. Can we distribute yet? Not yet, because we got the negative of a negative. We're subtracting a negative, so we'll just simplify that. Negative 4 times x minus a negative 1 is x plus 1. And now we can distribute. Y minus 5 still stays the same, equals negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times positive 1 then is negative times a negative, or sorry, negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 1 is 4, and there is our next step. And now we just simply add 5 on the left, add 5 on the right to get rid of that 5, to move the 5 to the right side. And I've got y equals negative 4x minus 4 plus 5 plus 1. And there's the formula for that line that's described, or that is that describes all the points here that go through the point negative 1, 5 and have a slope of negative 4.